going to take a look at dividing large numbers. As with any operation, dividing large numbers requires more steps than smaller numbers, but the basic idea is still the same. We will use the long division method to divide large numbers. Large numbers can either be in your dividend or in your divisor. It's the large divisor that presents a little more trouble. Let's take a look at an example. So we have a very large dividend here of 150,625, but we're also dividing by a pretty large divisor, 125. So to begin, we are going to put our division problem into the long division form. So I'll put my dividend here, 150,625, and then I want to write or draw my my division symbol here above and to the side. I want it to cover all of the numbers, and then just like I always do with long division, I'll put my divisor over here on this side of the symbol. So 125 goes right here. So to work on this problem, we start over here and we look at the highest place value of the dividend, which in this case is the 1 in our 150,625. And starting here, I'm going to count over the same number of digits as I have here in my divisor. So since my divisor is 1, 2, 3-digit divisor, I count over here in my dividend 1, 2, 3 digits. And this is the point, this 150, is the point at which I'm going to begin my division problem. So my first calculation is actually going to be 150 divided by 125. And the answer, the quotient for that calculation, is going to go here above the third digit over in my dividend. So I need to keep my answers neatly organized to keep track of where I'm at. So let's begin with that first calculation. We have 150 divided by 125, or what is the largest whole number that I can multiply 125 by to get an answer that's less than or equal to, and as close as I can be, to 150. The answer in this case is 1, and so I put that 1, like I said, right here above the 0. And I perform the calculation of 1 times 125, and I write that answer right here below the 150. And then I subtract. And so I'm just simply looking at 150 minus 125, and the answer to that subtraction problem is very straightforward, 25. Now you continue, as you already know, by moving to the next digit in your dividend and pulling that number down to join the remainder from your first calculation. So the remainder from our first little calculation of 150 divided by 125 equals 1 with a remainder of 25. So this is my little remainder from my first calculation. I bring the next digit down, this 6, to join the remainder from the previous calculation. So now I have 256 divided by 125 as my next calculation. So again, I ask myself, what is the largest whole number that I can multiply by 125 to get a product that is less than or equal to, and as close as I can get, to 256? So the answer to that question is 2. 256 divided by 125 is 2. Now I want to be really careful where I place that 2. I want to place it right above the next digit from the one that I started with. So I want to be really careful to place my 2 right here above the 6. And then I perform the calculation again of 2 times 125, and I'm going to place my answer right here underneath the 256. So 2 times 125 is 250, and I subtract 256 minus 250. So we perform the calculation of 256 minus 250, which equals 6, and I place my 6 right here. Now I'm going to repeat the process again by bringing the next digit, the 2, down to join the remainder of 6. So let's bring this 2 down. I want to draw a nice little arrow here, and that will join our remainder of 6. This gives us our next calculation then, which is 62 divided by 125. This may seem tricky because 125 is greater than 62, so there is no whole number that can be multiplied by 125 to find a product less than 62. Or in other words, there's no whole number quotient that will work here. And so what we do in this case is we use the number 0. We use a 0 in the place of the answer to this question. Or 62 divided by 125, 0. There's no whole numbers that can perform that calculation and end up with a number less than or equal to 62. So I put a 0 here as my next answer. And I perform the calculation using a 0. And so I go ahead and do 0 times 125, which is 0, and I place that there, and I actually subtract 0 from 62. And I put my answer right here with this 62. And then I continue again with my last calculation. As you can see, I still have 1 digit left in my dividend that I can bring down here to join this new remainder of 62, which we got again. So I bring my 5 down here to join the 62, and now I have a nice big number, 625 divided by 125. And there is a whole number that, when multiplied by 125, actually equals 625, and that is the number 5. So I place my 5 right here, and I perform the calculation of 5 times 125, and it equals 625. And I subtract that, and I have a remainder of 0. And so now that I have a remainder of 0, and I've used up all the digits in my dividend, I am finished with the calculation of this problem, 150,625 divided by 125 equals 1,205 with no remainder. Now, you're not going to be in real life performing so many long division problems. You will use your calculator for a lot of these types of problems, but it's still very important to understand how to work out a problem using large numbers in division.